I had been following a plant-based lifestyle for years, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out why I was struggling so bad to get the weight off, especially because I was eating so healthy. So today's video, I'm going to be talking about 3 plant-based foods that I believe were seriously stalling my weight loss and could be stalling yours too. I think that there are a lot of misconceptions about eating for health and eating for weight loss that I personally had to learn the hard way, so let's get into it.
Hey everyone, so just like you saw in the intro, I have recently lost 60 pounds following a whole food plant-based diet. So today's video, I'm going to be talking about the 3 things that I stopped eating in order to finally lose the weight. And now I want to preface this video with saying that I have struggled with weight all my life. So my story is not the story that, I just rapidly gained weight due to pregnancy or medication or, just some type of life circumstance happening. I have struggled with weight my entire life. So if this sounds like you, then keep watching. All right, so food number 1 that I gave up, and I actually gave this one up like years ago, is oil. So if you are new to a plant-based diet or, whatever diet you're following, the biggest thing I can suggest giving up or at least extremely reducing is oil. And not only because it's super calorie dense, but it's kind of needlessly super calorie dense. And what I mean by that is oil doesn't really add too much to our food. So oil is not something that is actually going to help us feel full. If anything, it just adds a little bit of flavor to our food, because there's no denying that using a little bit of oil on roasted veggies or, potatoes, or think French fries, or any of these foods that we tend to use a lot of oil with, yeah, they definitely can enhance the flavor and the texture. But outside of that, in terms of health, in terms of your weight loss goals, and in terms of actually making you feel satiated, it doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot. So in other words, a great way to look at oil is that you're just kind of adding senseless calories to your overall calorie density for an entire day or meal for no reason. There's about 120 calories per tablespoon. And the thing is, when it comes to even saying that or giving the visual for that, how often was the last time you measured 1 tablespoon of oil when you were cooking? Now, outside, of course, if you're tracking calories or something, then yes, I can see that being a situation that you might measure it. But, for the average person not tracking calories, how often do you actually use 1 tablespoon in your cooking? So you can see how very quickly those calories can add up. If you were like me and took the bottle and did kind of one of these over the pan of, veggies, making a stir fry or whatever, how fast those calories can quickly add up. So at 120 calories a tablespoon, if you ended up using, 3 or 4 tablespoons, you're adding an additional 400 plus calories to your meal without really needing to. And while I don't personally track calories, I am mindful that they do exist. And that was a major learning curve for me along my weight loss journey, because there is a lot of misconception within a plant-based diet that calories don't matter, we don't need to count them, we don't need to track them, almost as though they just don't exist because you're eating plant-based. And that was one of the hardest lessons I had to personally learn. I can guarantee you that they do in fact matter, and whether or not you are tracking them in an app or in a journal, your body will be tracking the calories, each and every single one of them. So getting oil out of your cooking, or at least really reducing it, is really gonna shave off a lot of those calories and help you to get into a calorie deficit. All right, so the next food that I stopped eating to finally get this weight off.
Okay, so before I share that second food that I seriously believe was really stalling out my weight loss, I just wanted to take a second in case it is the first time that you're landing on one of my videos and you're also following a plant-based diet hoping to get healthy and hoping to lose weight, then I think I might be able to help, because I have put together several weight loss recipe ebooks, including the exact recipes that I personally was eating the most to lose 60 pounds. And what sets my recipes apart from all of the other amazing plant-based or vegan recipe cookbooks out there is that they have 0 overt fats. And they are not only healthy, but they are designed specifically with weight loss in mind. So for the next 48 hours only, all of my books will be on sale for only $5, which is the lowest price they'll ever be. And if you check out the original price, you'll see what a savings it is. The link can be found in the description box below. All right, so let's get back to this video.
All right, so the next food that I stopped eating to finally get this weight off were nuts. Now, nuts, that's such a love-hate relationship. I love nuts because nuts are excellent for our health. They are packed with nutrition, like nutrition powerhouses, in fact. but they are not so friendly when it comes to weight loss. And that was another lesson that I had to learn along the way, that eating healthy is not the same thing as eating to lose weight. Of course, we want them to be the same thing, and they can be the same thing, but it doesn't automatically become the same thing. So while a lot of these healthful foods, such as nuts, they're great for us nutritionally speaking, they are really, really calorie dense, and they can very easily put us into a calorie surplus where we are not going to be losing any weight. And so when it came to nuts for me, my biggest downfall was actually the dressings. A lot of my dressings were a nut-based dressing. And again, my thinking was, well, they're healthy, so of course they must be good for me, which in some sense that's true, but in the other sense, it was not true when I was actively trying to lose weight. And here's the thing, there aren't that many amazing, delicious salad dressings that are completely fat-free and oil-free. I'm just gonna say that, I'm just gonna put that out there and keep it real. There are some that taste good enough. There are some that taste, okay, but honestly, when it comes to dressings, the fat take the cake. They really will make a dressing taste absolutely delicious. And so that was where my downfall was using these nut-based dressings that were super calorie dense, and I was just pouring the dressing on because I'm having massive salads, enough to feed a family, which again, I'm thinking I'm doing a great job because from a health perspective, it's great. I'm getting in all these vegetables that are hydrating and healthy, but I was going way too heavy on the dressings. So what I ended up doing instead was swapping out those nuts and replacing them with beans. And it did work out pretty well for most of my dressings. I really honestly could not tell that big of a difference just taking out the walnuts or the almonds and replacing them with some, chickpeas or white beans and still adding in all the other ingredients. It honestly wasn't that bad. Was it as good as the nut-based one? Probably not, if I'm being honest, but it was good enough. So in that first 30 pounds, I didn't include any nuts in my diet whatsoever. So I have started to add back in very, very small amounts of nuts. However, I do not use them for my dressings to this day. I try to stay away from that because I know that that's a slippery slope for me. So by including a little bit of walnuts, I will literally count out 3 or 4 walnut halves and just eat them as is. I'm very, very mindful of the amount that I'm having because I already know the danger territory they can get you in when you overconsume them. So if you're following a plant-based diet and you've heard how amazing nuts are for you, but it's possible that you might be overdoing them on your dressings or just eating them as is, that might be something that you want to take a look at and either reduce them or cut them out just while you're in your weight loss phase and then look at adding them back in a little bit later. Okay, and lastly, very similar to the nuts is seeds. So seeds was also something that I cut out completely, especially during that first 30 pounds. Again, something that I am working on adding back in right now because of their nutritional profile, but again, it's a slippery slope when it comes to weight loss. So for example, chia seeds. Well, what's popular with chia seeds? Chia pudding. Everybody on social media is constantly showing amazing recipes, how to whip up this chia pudding. And here's the thing, some of these recipes call for 3-4 tablespoons of chia seed, and there's 70 calories per 1 tablespoon of chia seed. And I don't know if you've ever had chia pudding before, but it doesn't really fill me up for that long. For me, as delicious as chia pudding is, it's kind of a high price to pay calorically speaking. And the same is true for flax. So there's about 50 calories for every 1 tablespoon of flax. So when it comes to flaxseed, I'm not gonna stress it too much to throw 1 or 2 tablespoons in a smoothie or some oatmeal because you're only looking at an additional 50 to 100 calories as long as you're kind of mindful of that. Definitely not free in terms of calories, but more so when you're talking about cookies or baked goods where there's a lot of flaxseed added in it, those are things that you have to be careful about because they certainly can add on to the calories without you even realizing it. But just like the nuts, the seeds are a powerhouse, an absolute powerhouse when it comes to nutrition. So by no means am I suggesting to eliminate nuts and seeds out of your diet forever and that they don't have a place in a healthy diet, because that couldn't be further from the truth. They're extremely healthy for us. But I'm just simply wanting to point out, especially from my own personal experience, that you have to be careful because it can be a slippery slope. Those calories can and do add up very quickly and very innocently so, without really making you feel full or satiated. So I would personally suggest while you're in your active weight loss phase to really focus on foods that are lower in calorie density and that are going to give you the most bang for your buck calorically speaking. And what I mean by that are the foods that are going to fill you up and keep you full the longest for the same amount of calories for something that won't. Honestly, what I've learned is that weight loss is all a little bit of a game, a head game that we have to play with ourselves. And, I kind of like to look at calories sometimes as like money, how are we going to spend our calories? Like, you want to spend your money on things that you get the most bang for your buck, right? We all do. We all love a good sale and saving money. So the same is true for calories. We want to be able to spend those calories on the foods that are going to give us the most bang for our buck, make us feel good when we're getting up from the table, and keep us feeling full for as long as possible. So that is how you have to look at it when it comes to choosing foods and eating foods specifically for weight loss. All right, everyone, so I'm going to leave the video here. And like I mentioned earlier in this video, if you are in need of some more whole food plant-based recipes that have zero overt fats, they were designed specifically with weight loss in mind, and I'm living proof that they work. And I've had so much positive feedback from so many of you guys as well. So if you are in need of some more recipes that are geared specifically for weight loss, then don't forget to check out that awesome book sale. It will only be on for the next 48 hours. The link can be found in my description box below. And if it's your first time landing on my channel, I'd love to have you stick around. So make sure to hit that subscribe button on your way out. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and we will see you guys in the next one.